your host, Ursula Ramdayal. Thank you for joining us. In this week's presentation for the period August 3rd to 9, 2013, legislation paves the way for a Myla hydropower project. Guyana may face international sanctions for a lack of anti-money laundering bill following opposition's action, and homeless persons to soon be housed in a comfortable shelter. Guyana is closer to fulfilling its vision of providing cheaper and cleaner energy. The bill to ensure the realization of the Myla Hydro project was passed on August 7th.
This Myla Hydro project is slated to be the nation's most ambitious and transformative venture Guyana has ever seen. This project will see Guyana moving towards more sustainable development practices. With the passage of the hydroelectric bill, the long-held dream that will see Guyanese being provided with cheap, reliable and sustainable power supplies is closer to becoming a reality.
We want to assure this House and all the Guyanese out there that we will be continuing with what we have. We will be continuing our best efforts to realize a Myla with what we have.
The project, which has the capacity to provide over 140 megawatts of electricity, will be located along the Corribrong River in Potaro, Region 8. It is the largest single investment in Guyana.
Guyana stands to face international sanctions following the political opposition's decision to defer to October the tabling of a report on the amendments proposed for the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism bill.
This move by the parliamentary opposition has been condemned by government.
Given the gravity of this move, the gravity of the implications of such a move, I can only say that it's a move that should be condemned in the harshest manner possible, and I wish on behalf of the government so to do right now. We have a national responsibility to ensure the existence of a robust legislative framework for fighting money laundering. These amendments that were proposed would achieve exactly this. They emerged from a review conducted by technical experts, and their enactment are critical to ensuring a favorable review under the CFATF mutual evaluation process. And the opposition now clearly is on a path to ensure that Guyana does not successfully complete this review, and that our country therefore faces the brunt of whatever consequences will flow therefrom. The tragedy, of course, is that these consequences will be felt by the entire economy.
The actions of all politicians must consider the implications for the country's development, according to Minister Dr. Singh.
Where a project or an initiative is good for Guyana, one, as a responsible political leader, has an obligation to support that initiative. A Myla Falls is good for Guyana, is good for business, is good for the quality of life and circumstances of every citizen of Guyana. And so if you claim to be a responsible political leader, then such a project must benefit from your support. In much the same manner, this anti-money laundering amendment bill and its passage in particular has significant consequences for Guyana. Its passage has significant positive consequences for Guyana, and its non-passage, non-enactment, has significant negative consequences for Guyana. And again, as a responsible political leader, one has an obligation to ensure its smooth passage.
The amendments deemed as necessary for the bill's passage were put forward by various stakeholders and financial experts. The Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, CFATF, of which Guyana is a signatory member, had given us until August 26th to pass upgraded laws against financial crimes before the global watchdog considers the country's fate in November.
The CARICOM Secretariat met with senior media operatives as it continued its consultation process to finalize its 5-year draft strategic plan.
This strategic plan will take into consideration recommendations and proposals obtained from several in-country consultations so as to reflect the needs and priorities of member states. The strategic plan originated after the recent decision by CARICOM heads of government during their last conference to have a plan developed to drive the CARICOM grouping forward.
What we hope to get out of this consultation is an idea of how Guyana can contribute to the formation of the 5-year strategic plan, which is one of the key areas of the CARICOM reform process, the formation of a 5-year strategic plan. The other aspect of the reform process is looking at how the Secretariat is restructured to meet the new needs of the community, to be more efficient in their monitoring of the community's business, and also looking at the reform of the CARICOM institutions as well, because they are also integral to the whole integration movement.
Similar consultations will be conducted with members of Parliament locally, including the Speaker, government and opposition members, religious groups, civil society representatives, trade unions, youth groups, and other stakeholders.
We are hoping that even though the formal consultations are going to be over the next 3 days, that we could still have a process of consultation that would lead to other views being incorporated into the final report that would go to the heads of government in February. The next intersessional, which is between February and March 2014. That's when the 5-year strategic plan in draft will be presented to them for their consideration.
Homeless persons will soon be housed in a comfortable environment that will cater for their needs and for their reintegration into their family and society with the opening of the Hugo Chavez Center for Rehabilitation and Reintegration.
The Hugo Chavez Center for Rehabilitation and Reintegration, slated for opening on August 10, will accommodate 200 males and 100 females who are homeless. The project, located at Onverwacht, West Coast, Berbice, was built at a cost of $2 million. The facility will also accommodate a resident doctor and nurse. Occupants will be exposed to training programs that are aimed at reintegrating them into society and their families. Transportation, meals, assistance and treatment, toiletries, clothing and meals will be provided. And it is the general expectation that homeless persons will no longer have to live on the streets.
This facility, which has become a reality as a result of bilateral relations between the government of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and the government of Guyana, shows our government's continued commitment to working with those vulnerable persons within our society, and it shows our commitment and our concern about the welfare of all our citizens, especially those who are faced with difficult circumstances. And whilst we do have challenges which exist within our society, I think this is a great step for Guyana in terms of programs being put in place to support the vulnerable, especially those who live on our streets. And the idea is that our homeless persons would be provided with a home, provided with general health care, basic skills and counseling, and recreational facilities. And I think our secondary objective is to eventually reintegrate most of these persons back into our society so that they could become productive and healthy citizens.
The facility was made possible through Guyana-Venezuela's historic and friendly relationship at the bilateral level and through the Union of South American Nations, UNASUR. Apart from this shelter, there is also the night shelter in Isla Penitence that also provides a bed and meals for persons who may be homeless.
More of the Weekly Digest after these messages. Stay tuned. About 190,000 students stand to benefit from government's school uniform program in 2013. Guyana is the only CARICOM country that is providing this form of assistance for its students to ensure all can access education. This initiative caters for students from nursery level to grade 11. The Housing Ministry is expanding its reach to all categories of workers. A 4-stage initiative has been implemented to create opportunities for working professionals from the clerical stage right up to high income. Homes are being offered for as low as $4.9 million. This is a part of the ministry's quest and firm determination to better living standards of all citizens, as government seeks to ensure all Guyanese are proud homeowners.
The Amila Falls Hydropower Project is the medium and long-term strategy for the country's electricity sector. It is where cheap and reliable energy will be derived for consumers both at the domestic and household levels. Guyana could become a nation taking the lead globally for renewable power and build investor confidence. Financial closure with the Inter-American Development Bank is within reach, and preparatory works on the long stretch of road to the Amila Falls site have gone a far way. The support of all stakeholders is critical to the success of this important project.
Guyana has added another monument to its repertoire in an effort to preserve its rich history and raise awareness of an event that impacted on the lives of Guyanese.
The 1823 monument, located opposite the Guyana Defense Forces headquarters on the Seawall Road, is a reminder of the historic slave revolt that took place on Plantation Success, East Coast Demerara on August 18, 1823. The government of Guyana in 2011 undertook several initiatives in commemoration of the United Nations designated International Year for People of African Descent, and among them was the construction of the 1823 monument.
We gathered to reach into the past and to retrieve an important part of our history. A history that is so distant that it has faded from our collective memory for many of our citizens. A history, if left forgotten, will rob us of a significant part of the legacy of struggle that our ancestors left us.
In April 2011, the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport launched a national competition for the design of the monument, and 5 designs were received. Renowned sculptor Ivor Tom's design was adjudged the best by an esteemed technical panel.
Traditionally, our capacity to do bronze sculpture has been very limited in Guyana, but we are very pleased that with this project, as Ivor just outlined, we now have the capacity at the Burroughs School of Art to do many more such monuments, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to use it to do other public projects.
The monument is replete with a cross, which is one of the most recognized religious symbols, and chains, which symbolizes bondage. It also has 3 figures, one of a male standing upright with his legs apart in defiance, a female with a cutlass and folded fist signifying power, and another male with a musket holding his hand up to beckon others to join him.
To better the standard of work done by government officials and to ensure quality service, the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development held a training session for members of the Regional Democratic Council.
The sessions were conducted by Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Ganga Prasad, Minister in the Ministry Norman Whitaker, and Permanent Secretary Colin Crowell.
Any committee of council, be it ad hoc, sub, or committee, it is always important that council representative chair those committees.
The sessions touched on the legal framework, committee of councils, conduct of meetings, and procurement and tender administration. The councillors were also informed of the Procurement Act. Each councillor was given a soft copy of these 2 acts. The councillors were informed about work that is ongoing in their regions and were given the opportunity to share their views and raise their concerns, which were addressed by the officials. They were able to make recommendations and suggestions concerning their respective regions.
I want to encourage you to support NDCs, and one of the ways you can do that is by encouraging and trying to motivate them to do more things for the communities.
At the end of the workshop, the participants were asked to complete an evaluation form, which was given to them and to have it returned to the ministry's officials.
In keeping with standard requirement in face of competition, the Guyana Rice Development Board's Central Laboratory has been recertified to test and verify rice and paddy in Guyana.
The Guyana National Bureau of Statistics recently issued the laboratory with a GYS 170-2009 certificate. This recertification, which is for a period of 2 years, signifies that the board has met the general requirements for its operation.
this afternoon. I'm very happy to be associated with this occasion, and I want to wish them continued hard work, because the GNBS will not be accused of compromising any standards. We want to ensure that whoever is involved with us as stakeholders, that we do what is best. And we expect that the stakeholders will do their best also. So congratulations to you. Continue the hard work to maintain the certification. Do not relax. It is something that you will continue to work at.
Several intense audits of the laboratory were conducted by the Bureau to ensure compliance for the recertification process, which can be withdrawn if conditions are not maintained.
This is important for many reasons, because the rice industry is primarily an export industry. We eat very little of what we produce in Guyana. And there are two things I want to say about that. One, we need to protect the export right for rice in Guyana. And the only way to protect that right and that opportunity is by ensuring the highest quality of rice and paddy.
The laboratory prior to this was certified by the Bureau on July 8 in 2011. The GRDB's central laboratory is the only laboratory in Guyana outside of the medical field that is certified.
Gaia Expo 2013 is slated for October 3rd to 6th, and though the event is 2 months away, booths are being booked at a very rapid pace.
There'll be a lot of new events and changes at Gaia Expo this time around, including pre-selling of tickets, and where no tickets will be sold in the Gaia Expo area to ease off all the crowd and the congestion, so persons will have to purchase their tickets and come in straight to Gaia Expo. Our international pavilion is almost sold out. I must tell you 2 months in advance that our international pavilion is almost sold out, and we'll have to maybe expand that to accommodate more. So Gaia Expo has grown in terms of numbers, in terms of visitors, in terms of foreign participation, in terms of the total exhibitors coming here. So we are looking at a very expanded expo this time around.
This year, the Tourism Ministry will be partnering with the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary. This in itself will bring a lot of uniqueness to Gaia Expo 2013.
We want to actually create the linkages between overseas buyers and the manufacturers and producers here, so that really and truly Gaia Expo can become this marketplace for negotiation, for networking, for sales as well. Because one of the things we want to ensure is that our businesses can be able to find markets for their products and services. And without the markets, they cannot be able to expand, they cannot be able to sell, they cannot employ more persons, they cannot reinvest. And so the linkages are very, very critical.
During the expo, several seminars will be hosted for both investors and buyers. Persons who are interested in showcasing their businesses at this mega event are urged to contact the Gaia Expo Secretariat. Registration can also be done online via the official Gaia Expo website. The GTA recently hosted the 9th Berbice Expo, which was a resounding success. During Cabinet meeting this week at the Office of the President, His Excellency President Donald Ramotar and ministers of the government discussed several issues of national concern. The media was subsequently briefed on Cabinet's deliberations.
At its 2 recent statutory meetings, July 26th and August 6th, Cabinet offered its no objection to several contracts. In the area of housing and water, close to $1.5 billion was approved for infrastructure roadworks at Region 3, in Zeeburg and Zeelot, and in Region 7 at Partico. Cabinet has noted the resurgence of the Hamilton Green of the PNC 1960 to 1970s era.
The People's National Congress 1970-1980 British Prime Minister was noted by Cabinet. very few who witnessed his gun-toting intimidation, striking defenseless bookers, stores, workers, mostly women, will forget those scenes and those events. Fast forward to today, post-1992, but specifically today, Hamilton Green ensconced in the city council, the den of unaccountable opposition elements that destroy the Garden City.
Cabinet, observing Green's recent treatment of the acting town clerk, Carol Suba, warned of natural justice. The mayor of the city of Georgetown and a team that included his security denied Suba access to her office by their physical presence and threatening manner on August 5th and 6th. Cabinet is concerned with the opposition's short-sightedness in Parliament with regards to government's developmental thrust. Of particular concern to Cabinet is the opposition's treatment of the Amalia Falls hydropower project and the looming anti-money laundering bill deadline.
Come back in October 2013 is the best that the opposition APNU AFC alliance can offer this nation with regards to the deadlines thrust upon us by the CFATF in responding to our treaty obligations in anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism.
4 of the Caribbean Premier League CPL cricket matches were recently staged in Guyana, and Cabinet noted the successful return of international cricket to local shores after a 2-year lapse.
And now for perspectives with Dr. Prem Mizir.
Political self-interests, not the people's interests, are marring the political and developmental life of this nation. Right now, the relentless charade displayed over the Amalia Falls hydropower project is what Guyanese have come to expect from politicians who live off politics. Every day, the Guyanese people face a deluge of politicians' superfluous and indignant comments on the PPPC government and the presidency. The government and president are in a perpetual political struggle with opposition elements who constantly see every governmental action as negative in their quest to incapacitate the PPPC government's functioning. Clearly, after many years of dry holes, the opposition's force remains rhetorical, without any bite. It therefore is not surprising that the opposition would now revert to aberration, deception, and general abuses against the government. In the end, the opposition elements use these techniques to camouflage the facts of projects, the objective facts of projects, under the guise of improper transparency and accountability. Inadequacies of accountability and transparency in implementing any project should not camouflage that project's facts, in other words, that project's objective facts, especially when that project promotes national development. And a surge in patriotism should accompany any project that makes Guyana a better place. Nevertheless, that surge in patriotism seems to be on the missing list in this country at this time. For instance, some people know about the demonization of the Texas-based Beale Aerospace Technologies Incorporated in the 1990s, a project estimated to be of great benefit to Guyana, Dr. Frank Beckles, Sherwood Kendall, Jonathan Adams, Ashton Simon, and Kathleen Rajkumar challenged the agreement between the government of Guyana and the Beale Aerospace Technologies, Inc. in the High Court. In addition, the People's National Congress resisted the governmental agreement with Beale, claiming poor financial return from the land transaction. In the end, there was no deal, and what happened? Guyana suffered. It was a great blow to the Guyanese people's aspirations with the loss of the Beale project. The low carbon development strategy was another example, and I should say probably is another example of oppositional elements against governmental projects. The low carbon development strategy, both a historical triumph and a political albatross, one of former President Bharat Jagdev's signal achievements, is another major project that constantly experiences demonization from opposition elements. The low carbon development strategy effort has graduated to international proportions, catapulting Guyana onto the global stage, permanently symbolizing Guyana as a major contributor to mitigating climate change. The important point is the fact that Guyana's rainforest can be a revenue generator vis-a-vis the low carbon development strategy and the Norway-Guyana $250 million relationship. I have to say that there are some whose pastime is to reject the facts of a project, facts that work in the country's interests. This is exactly the situation with the opposition element's demonization of the Amila Falls hydropower project, which is projected to bring enormous benefits to the Guyanese people. Under such circumstances, we may require a surge in patriotism to stop the rejection of the Amila Falls hydropower project and other similar projects that are good for Guyana. Thank you.
And with those features, we have come to the end of this edition of Weekly Digest. But before we go, here's a recap of the highlights. Legislation paves the way for a Myla hydropower project. Guyana may face international sanctions for lack of anti-money laundering bill following opposition's action. And homeless persons soon to be housed in a comfortable shelter. Please note that the Weekly Digest and other Government Information Agency programs can be found on our website www.gina.gov.gy, or you can send us your comments and suggestions at gina@gina.gov.gy. Join us again next week as we highlight more of government's programs and policies which continue to enhance the lives of Guyanese. I'm Ursula Ramdale. Goodbye.